Are you a charger? Because I'm dying without you. What is up, guys? And, okay, I actually do have something to talk about today. And I want to talk about, I mean, this is another thing I would love to be educated on. But I do think I've not, like, a lot of experience in it, but I did live in a different country for a majority of my life. But I want to talk about Western films versus foreign films. Specifically, like, I don't want to say Western in general, because I don't know other Western countries other than America. But I do want to talk about American standards of filming versus foreign standards of filming. And how crazy of a difference it is. Like, foreign films, for example, they don't take themselves seriously. Like, I've seen so many films. I've seen, like, South Korean films. I've seen just, like, Korean dramas. I've seen, like, Georgian, and not the state Georgia, country Georgia. I've seen Russian films. I've seen, like, I've seen a lot of different films in a lot of different languages. And telenovelas are a huge one. I've seen, like, German films, French films. And something so crazy is it doesn't take itself super seriously. And I don't mean that in, like, an offensive way. I mean that in a really cool way. Like, film from the dawn of time, at least to me, was something of a representation of, like, the trials that humans can go through, but viewed in kind of a comedic way, and filmed in kind of a comedic way. Like, whether you get some weird shots of the person's POV, or you get this weird, like, editing and stuff, it's meant to be different and not completely realistic, but it is supposed to touch on realistic things that happen in your life that can be viewed as traumatic or hard or really happy and fun or sad and angry. American films are so different. They take themselves so seriously, and sometimes that's the downfall of it. So many films, if only they were filmed in comedic ways, would be viewed, or not even like comedic ways, as like, if it only didn't take itself seriously, the message would come across so much more clearer. Sorry, the camera just panned. And that is so clear with so many foreign films, but then you come and see an American film and it's like, wow, that thing took itself way more seriously. Whether it's like camera quality, or how the camera pans, or how the actors say their lines, or the facial expressions of the actors and actresses, or even just like the way a line is written, or the dynamic of it. And now, I'm not a generalizing girl, so obviously there are so many movie industries, there's so many movies and films that don't adhere to those standards, but I do feel like a lot of them do. And also, our judgment as, like, I mean, if you live in America, if you're American, if, you know, whatever, like, I feel like we judge movies so much more harder because of that. And I feel like a lot of the times, like, I've seen it a lot where people will be watching foreign films and they'll be like, dude, this is the funniest thing ever, but also it's so real. And I think it's because here we're so prone to taking everything seriously and wanting it to be real, both the way it's filmed and the way it's delivered and the way it's perceived. Like, everything has to be real. But then you see a foreign film and it's just like, it's different. It's not that much pressure. Like, the directors can have creative liberty without the fear of a movie not succeeding. Like, truly, it feels like they have so much more fun filming over there than we do here sometimes. Like, here you have to please investors, you have to please an audience, you have to please the actors, because sometimes they demand crazy things. And it's like, then the film comes out and it's like, wow, this could have been so deep, this could have been so funny, this could have been anything, and it was this. And so I feel like that's why, especially in this day and age, a lot of the films that come out have such crazy mixed reviews, because we expect so much, and then I think we build this pressure, and people feel that pressure, and then everything kind of crumbles apart. And it started off as an amazing concept, and it ended as being not a flop, not a failure, but not a success either, like we do see in the early days. But then, like, I genuinely think, like, foreign films, like, they might not have billions of dollars in like ratings, and not ratings, and billions of dollars in, like, revenue, but they do have this emotional depth that people connect with, and this kind of feeling that American films don't have anymore. A lot of them do. I'm not saying, like, no, nothing does, But I do think there is a huge difference between foreign films and American films, and I do think one of them is just like people enjoy filming them and people feel less pressure writing films in foreign countries because there's no pressure. Because realistically speaking, like in foreign countries, like the populations are much lower, or the budget is much lower, or camera equipment isn't as high. And so when they write stuff, it's like, okay, how can we make this fun? Because our budget's not that high, so we probably will make revenue either way, in some type of way. And they don't really get released in many theaters, but it's like, the people that do see it, they get it. The people that do see stuff like this, and they do see the emotional depth of it, like, and the deepness of it, but also the funniness of it, like the way the camera pans, or the way a character says a line, or like the facial expression of an actress. Those can and are allowed to be funny, but the overall film is also allowed to be deep and meaningful. And here, it's like everything has to be deep, everything has to be meaningful. It's no longer, it's like you can't be funny anymore. You can't view something in an ironic or a comedic way, because then it defeats the whole purpose of the film and it takes away from the deepness of it, which it doesn't. Us as human beings deal with things in such different ways, whether it's grief, happiness, sadness, anger. We don't always feel angry, we don't always feel happy, we don't always feel sad. We feel things in levels, and I feel like a lot of foreign films do such a great job at interpreting that and allowing us to experience it alongside with them. Somebody could be cheated on, and they could be so angry and so upset, and then their friend could say something just out of context, and they could be bursting out laughing, and then the next minute they could be crying. And that's emotional depth, and that's what we as humans go through. We experience all these different emotions, and it's not all at the same time, and it's not all in waves, and it's not all in solidness either. Everyone experiences stuff differently, and not in one swoop, you know? And so yeah, I don't know if this rant made any sense, but I just, like, I feel like a lot of people don't watch foreign films the way they should, because like sometimes people like look at it and it's like, really, that's the production value? And I think if you do live in America, like, take 2 seconds, step out of the mindset of how high you view films and how much expectations you have of it. Just take a step back, watch a foreign film, and then come back. Because the thing is, like, foreign films can have like crazy plot lines, like the craziest of crazy plot lines, and they can still be amazing, and they can still have crazy cool conclusions. And some of their stuff doesn't even make any sense. Like, how did this girl jump off 250 flights of stairs, or jump off a roof that is like 100 feet, or not 100 feet, like 100 floors away from the ground, and survive? And how did she manage to get there on the boat? And it's like, it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, like, and that's the greatest part, is like, that's allowed not to make sense, and you don't dwell on it, and you don't think on it a lot, because a film is allowed to be goofy and funny, because that's the intent. A film doesn't have to have every single thing be realistic. A film doesn't have to be real life, but it is allowed to have real life elements. But here, everything has to be real, everything has to be plausible, everything has to be accurate and valid. And I do think that there are certain things that should be accurate, like storylines and certain ways of dealing with stuff, but that's what foreign films do as well, is they make sure to be accurate when it comes to things that actually matter. But when a heist happens, or when a carjacking happens, or when they're jumping off roofs and stuff, like, that's allowed not to be accurate, that's allowed to be funny, because you as a human being are taking a break from the realism of it and looking at it in kind of like a goofy way, and realizing, oh, this is still a movie, this is still a show. But then also being like, oh, but this show is still something I relate to, because it has these elements of like divorce, or cheating, or death, or something happy as like getting a new job and graduating college, or finishing high school, or having a graduation photo, or getting married and having children, or having a house, or getting a pet, getting a cat, like all of those things. But also, it's really goofy because this guy just shot that guy in the craziest way that makes no sense, and that's the funny part about it as well. But I don't know, there is such a huge difference between foreign films and American films, and it's just so interesting to see the difference and just the different expectations that they have. And it's kind of crazy that that's a thing, because you would like, I don't know, it's like, I've never been speechless before, but it's just like, uh, there is such a huge difference, and I feel like we don't talk about it enough. But it's really, I love that difference, and I think, I'm not saying like either of them is doing it wrong. I'm not saying like, oh, foreign countries should be more like America, or that America should be like more like foreign countries. But I'm actually saying, like, I think films should stop taking themselves so seriously, and in that way, films will become something that will be taken more seriously and will be viewed more realistic. Because if we keep worrying about trying to relate to an audience, then we don't relate to anybody, because then we're faking the writing and the acting, because we're trying to be relatable. Don't try to be relatable, just be relatable. Because we share so many different experiences. Like, I recently watched a film, I'm blanking on both of their names, but like, they both had very big depictions on alcoholism. And one of them took itself so seriously that I just kept laughing. I was like, this is crazy. This is such a serious issue, and I'm laughing at it. And then the other film was a foreign film. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. No Other Choice. No Other Choice. And it depicted alcohol in such a quick way, but it was so relatable. And it was so impactful. And I was like, that's so crazy. Two similar, like, the same problems, obviously different experiences, different ways of getting there, but two similar things, and it just, one didn't take itself seriously, and then but the problem was serious, and the other one took itself so seriously that it was viewed as comedic to me. But yeah, I don't know, that's just so interesting. But I don't know, I do always respect the way film is done. I'm not like a film major, I'm not a film person. I would love to make film, but like, I would love to do anything, but it's just, I don't know, I think this is so interesting, and I do really, like, just, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I just want to talk about it. But let me know about your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I think they're both really fun. I'm getting more into watching and rewatching certain foreign films, Georgian and Russian films, and K-dramas and stuff like that. And it's really cool to see this difference in style and difference in stuff. And I'm wondering, like, why is that? And I think a lot of it is like, probably like just investors, and we need to make so much more money for some reason here. Well, we know why, but it's capitalism. But it's just, here it feels like we focus on money so much, but over there it's like, how can we have fun and maybe get money out of this? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, like the video, comment below. See you guys later. Peace.